If you were lucky enough to pick Sifnos as an island to go and visit, then going to Kastro, which is fairly close. I mean, this island is small enough that probably get to most areas of the island within 30 minutes is a must to go and see. It's kind of special. It's up on a hill, built around a hill 3,000 years old. So when you are coming up to the little village, there is a parking at the bottom of the hill, and there is a additional parking at the top of the hill. You just saw it right there. And I would recommend going to the top of the hill and getting that parking because it's much closer, easier access out of your car. It's one of those unique, special type of villages that you can sort of wander around, and every time you make a turn, it's like you're blasted with a whole new visual that even if you get lost and you see the same thing 2 or 3 times, it's still one of those special little visual experiences. It's a cute town. It does seem to be occupied by the local residents. It is only occasionally that you will see tourists wandering about. Mostly they're lost looking for their apartment with luggage in hand. There's an old Catholic church. I didn't catch the birth date on the church, but we can see that the town has been inhabited for something like 3,000 years. Initially, it had a fortress wall around the perimeter and 5 metal gate entrances that kept out, or hopefully kept out, pirates and other bad elements. Be careful of the cats. They come up to you acting real smooth and sweet and everything, and then they look in your bag and they're sniffing for food. So even they have figured out how to be clever around humans. This is one of the old residents. She mumbled something to us. A very sprite old woman. I mean, which way do you go? I mean, any way is a good way. You can probably walk the whole town in 20, 35 minutes, if you will. It's actually kind of nice to get to the end of town where it opens up on the top of the hill, and then you get to see the valley below, or the sea below, the Aegean Sea below. They've done a pretty good job, I would say, of maintaining the historic significance and not modernizing it. There's a sarcophagus there. I mean, that's probably Middle Ages. I don't know a whole lot on the history, but we can see some artifacts from probably Renaissance time. I mean, this was a Venetian fortress, so we're going to see some influence from that time period. This sort of reminds me of Spain in the Andalusia area, the Pueblos Blancos. And this is probably a little bit rougher in a way, the architecture-wise. I mean, there's the hillscapes around the village. I do think it's interesting they take this white paint and they, on the rocks, they go ahead and mark white paint and separate the rocks with a little design, if you will. And I think this is the church, and I'm going to assume that because of its historic significance, they didn't paint it like the rest of the buildings in the town. Yeah, and when you get to the edge of town, which is about 10 minutes away, you're going to see different scenes like this. A little bit of the oceanscape, a little bit of the hillside. I mean, this is a fairly rocky, mountainous, sort of, not terribly mountainous, but to their standards, mountainous island with not a whole lot of green. What a beautiful sea. That's a little Greek church on a peninsula. There you can park your car also on that roadway. The terraced hillsides. I parked my car on this hill next to these vehicles. Don't be surprised if you see some tourists with luggage wandering around trying to find their place. I would hate to be a new postal carrier having to deliver mail to this community. yeah, it does seem that every turn you make, it's this really cool little visual of, I've got to go ahead and paint this kind of impulse. There's a couple of the tourists we kept seeing running into these guys. Grateful not to see any graffiti on the walls. What's also nice about this is that it's really off the main tourist trail, so you feel like you're exploring something special and not on the main routes, if you will. There's something about almost discovering these little jewels that are not inundated with people everywhere. This gives you, that's the beach for this little village. We found a more agreeable beach next to the church, and we'll end our exploration down at the church. It's a beautiful sea. We're going to walk down to that little church, and there's a couple nice little rocky beach areas that you can jump into the water. Water in June, when we were there, was fairly refreshing. Something to note, that the air coming off of the ocean feels somewhat coolish to the body, but the sun is still pretty hot. So do be careful certainly if you are more fair-skinned, that it is hotter than it appears. Some absolutely gorgeous water. Very refreshing to jump in. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next island.